Hello and welcome to the PvA Nightly Rundown, episode 49 for September 17th, 2019. I am your host, Luke Croft, and this is the nightly gaming news show where I run you through all of the gaming news that you may have missed throughout the day so that when you're at the water cooler tomorrow, you don't look like a fucking idiot. We got not a lot of news tonight to go through, but a couple bigger things I think we're probably going to dig into quite a bit. And I know for a fact, unless something crazy tomorrow happens, one of these is going to be my topic for PvA Radio tomorrow. So for those of you who watch the majority of the content, I apologize that you'll probably hear my thoughts on some of this stuff twice. We bought these Gatorade Zeros. We had a good conversation last night about how you're a fucking serial killer if you know the actual names of Gatorade flavors. But we bought these Gatorade Zeros from Aldi this week. We do almost all of our grocery shopping at Aldi. It's awesome. Actually, hold on. Uno momento, por favor. Oh, I just got a whisper from somebody. Hold on, let me respond to this real quick. Okay, cool. Just responded. Anyway. We do most of our grocery shopping at Aldi, and it's awesome. Like, before we found Aldi, and this isn't a commercial for Aldi, we're not a sponsor, but we did all of our grocery shopping at Food Lion, and they opened an Aldi in our town. And at first I was hesitant because I'm a little purist when it comes to using name brands, and so I was like, I don't know. I know we can save some money, but I don't really want to go shop off brands because I'm a fucking snob, right? But my wife was like, well, let's go try it for a little bit. Let's go, shop there for a couple weeks, see how much money we save. So we originally were spending $130 anytime we would go to Food Lion. And that was probably every 10 days or so. With buying almost the same exact amount of food, we cut that down to $80 per trip. It's awesome. So I love shopping at Aldi. Love Aldi. We buy almost, I would say 95% of our groceries come from Aldi. And lately they've had these Gatorade Zeros. This one is white flavor. That serial killers would call Glacier Cherry. If I keep this up long enough, I'm going to know all the names of these flavors, and then I will be a fucking serial killer. But Glacier Cherry, the white flavor. And I guess this is why they're at Aldi. Every single bottle that I've taken out of the fridge since we bought these, we bought 2 packs. Every single bottle I've taken out, it just has dents all up in them. And I'm guessing they just get fucked up in transport. There's no leaks. There's nothing coming out of the bottles. But anyway, still delicious. But it just throws off my chi, and I got to make sure not to drink out of that one side, or else the water moves weird and spills out. Anyway, hope everybody had a great Tuesday. I've been up since 5, so I am really tired, really tired. But today was a good day. Today was a really good day. Had a performance review at work. Had a department meeting that was really good. Went and got lunch with some coworkers. Had a delicious burger. Got swarmed by flies as we sat outside and had to move in at the restaurant. But overall, just really good day. Larry also sent me some really funny YouTube videos of someone we know doing a podcast that was just not very good. And I called him afterwards and I was like, dude, I am so excited you sent this to me, because it makes me excited to do this show. And so I've been looking forward to this. I got home, had a little bit of a headache, so I was like, I'm gonna lay down for a minute. Now I'm feeling spry, good as new. Feeling funky fresh, as the kids say. But yeah, this is the nightly gaming news show. I'll run you through all the gaming news you may have missed over here on twitch.tv/PvA Radio at 9 p.m. Eastern time every single weeknight except for Wednesdays. And why not Wednesdays? That's because that's when we do our show, PvA Radio, our weekly gaming discussion show with me and my 2 co-hosts, Larry and Cody. We run you through the 3 biggest gaming news stories of the week, and we have an in-depth discussion about it. But then, yeah, every other day of the week, every other weekday of the week over here, 9 o'clock, I'm going to do this, sit here in this chair with these shelves behind me, with this shrine to the malevolent spirit of the late Larry Johnson, who is still alive. And I'm going to run you through all of the big gaming news that you may have missed. And I do this as a service to you guys. You know, I'm a man of the people. And I understand that the people need to know what is going on in the world of gaming, and how are they going to do that unless somebody goes to the top of the mountain and tells them, well, this is the top of the proverbial mountain, and I am harking the herald? Maybe? Christmas? It's actually hark exclamation point, the herald angel sings, so it's the angel that's hark. It's not like, hark isn't like a summoning. Anyway, guys, if you can't catch it live, we do push this over on youtube.com/PvA Radio, where we break it out topic by topic, or you can watch the thing in its entirety. But let's jump into a little bit of housekeeping here at the top. It is September, which means if you watch this channel and are not a subscriber, you can subscribe for the very first time for half the price at $2.50. Sorry, guys, I got a little like something stuck. Like I go to talk and it like gets hung up. Feels weird. Anyway, you can sub for $2.50. That's half off of the normal price of a sub, of a subscription. You can do that by clicking the button. God damn it, this side, right up here. Also, after the show tonight, stick around. Gonna be, if you're watching on Twitch, gonna be playing some Overwatch with Larry. I've got a new audio setup for my Xbox that I don't know how much I'm looking forward to using. So I bought this splitter that goes. So the big reason that I've had a problem streaming Overwatch from console, I like playing it on PC because like all of my audio is housed from the PC. Like it takes care of itself. With the Xbox, though, there's no way to route your in-game chat through your main audio feed, so it like can't come through the HDMI to the Elgato. Now you can do that with Party, but you can't do that with just with like regular team chat. And where we play competitive, obviously we want to be in regular team chat. So I had to buy the splitter, and one of these will go from here into this Behringer thing that I've got, this little audio mixer. And then from there, it'll also split into my headset. So we're going to try this tonight, see if it works. I think it will work. If not, I'll find some other use for these splitters. Anyway, so yeah, stick around after the show. We'll be doing that. But let's jump into it, get this night started like we get every night started with the games that are releasing today. As always, we get this story from Zach Zweisen over at Kotaku. He puts together the week in games comprehensive list of all the games that are going to be coming out for the week. And releasing today, we've got Castle Crashers remastered on PS4 and Switch. So, am I mistaken? Was this already out on Xbox One? Because I feel like I've played remastered Castle Crashers. Maybe it was just backwards compatible on the Xbox One. But it doesn't list Xbox One, so it may just be that it's finally coming to those other platforms as well. I don't know. Also releasing today, we have Jet Cave Adventure on the Switch, Buth Simulator on the PS4, AI, the Somnium Files on PS4, Switch, and PC, Rebel Cops on the Quadfecta, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, Devil's Hunt on PC, Lego Jurassic World makes its way over to Switch years later, right? That game's been out a while, finally making its way over to Switch. Groundhog Day, Like Father Like Son on PSVR and Steam VR. Real Fishing Road Trip Adventure on PS4 and Switch, Daymare 1998 on PC, and Black Bear The Cursed Jungle on PC. Let's look up Daymare 1998. 1998, good year. I was 8 years old for 9 months of that. So let's go over to YouTube. Daymare 1998. Here we go. Oh, it's a Resident Evil 2 inspired horror game. I don't want to watch a fucking 8-minute video. I just want a trailer. My wife stirs. Here we go.
My instincts have always kept me alive. And this time's no different. They weren't wrong.
All right, this looks pretty dope.
The company sought to control everyone and everything in this town.
Voice acting is no bueno.
But they were wrong. It's not always possible. Not with those.
It does
like
look
me.
very, very Resident Evil, though.
Like us.
Like, very Resident Evil. Like, Resident Evil inspired, Resident Evil knockoff. There's a thin line, just like love and hate, right? Thin line between inspired and knockoff. And that, towing that line, it seems. But anyway, so there is your Daymare 1998 trailer out right now on PC. And then, since we don't do the show on Wednesdays, I'm going to start doing the games releasing on Wednesdays on Tuesdays. We have Trailmakers on Xbox One and PC, Football Drama on PC and Mac. We're going to look up a trailer for that. Dreamland Solitaire on PC, Bolt Halt on PC and Mac, Spirit Arena on PC, Crying Suns on PC and Mac, Seventh Circle on PC and Mac, Planetside Arena on PC, and Jenny Leclue, Detective Vu on PC and Mac. That sounds weird too. All right, let's look up Football Drama, because I can't imagine that anything is more dramatic than that girl in Madden who's dying of some illness. He's like, can you go out and throw 4 touchdowns for me? I'm sick. And just annoys you into performing well. Makes you feel really, really fucking bad if you don't meet her expectations. What game was I looking up? Football Drama. Football Drama trailer. Okay, that's not going to work, is it? Game's not going to help me either. Oh no, here we go. The first teaser for Football Drama. Choose your own adventure narrative and play turn-based football matches via tactical cards. Let's check it out, guys. Roll the beautiful bean footage. Here we go. $60,000 waiting just for me. Oh, I'm the manager, Rocco. Oh, it's not football like football. It's football like footy. Like soccer. Like fake football. This is weird. The team's called the Galaxy, too. And the Calchester Assembled. This does not look fun. This is how actual coaching discussions on the sidelines go. They think to themselves, I wonder what tactic they will be using in this game. The FC Bollywood. Abu Dhabi Reserves. The art style's cool. So yeah, there's Football Drama. Out tomorrow on PC and Mac. Get it while it's hot. All right, guys, let us jump into the news. First item on the list. Let's talk about E3 2020. This is actually a big write-up from GameDaily.biz, and just a reminder, if you're hanging out over here in the chat and you want to read along with the stories that we're going to be talking about on the show, you can type !show notes in the chat. You'll get a link to our doc that we're using. If you're watching over on YouTube and you want to read the stories that we're using, you can look in the description below. There's a link out to the show notes that links to every single article that we reference on the show. So, just to give a little love to the creators here. But this is from Mike Futter over at GameDaily.biz. And it says, E3 2020 pitch proposes overhaul with Qtainment, new floor plan, industry-only day. I'm not going to read this. We're likely going to talk about this at length tomorrow during PvA Radio, so you definitely don't want to miss that. I am going to hit some of the highlights. So essentially what happened is this pitch deck from the lobbying from the ESA leaked. And this was basically just the like, hey, it's a 27 slide pitch deck. That's like, hey, here's our proposal for the new direction of E3 2020. It looks like this right here because I'm using this dark mode. It's not that this slide deck was put together this poorly. Although I would argue it was put together semi-poorly. I'm going to turn night mode off really quick. Just because there's a lot of words. And whenever you're doing slide decks, you don't want fucking paragraphs. Like, give me the highlights. All right, let's not go blind. Anyway, so this 27 slide pitch deck leaked and proposes kind of a new direction for E3. And I do want to make sure we hit like the overview philosophy of what they're trying to create. So let me all right. E3 is changing. One of the slides reads, quote, "We're planning to pivot to an event focused on core gamers, online influencers, celebrities, and media with an emphasis on high-flow game pavilions, new programming, and branded curated experiences centered on a theme," end quote. And so the change in direction, and they do a good job explaining this in the pitch deck here, I think, about what E3 used to be. Maybe that was somewhere else. But essentially, the argument was, look, E3 for the longest time used to be a kind of retail, inside baseball, B2B event where you would have these retailers come, they'd see the new products that were coming out, they'd see the new games that were coming out, and they would be able to go back to their stores and hype these things up. People higher up the chain would be able to make decisions about what inventory they wanted to carry, how much of whatever they would want to order. Like, it was a very, very industry focused event. A lot of the presentations were given to stakeholders in the companies, and like, we went back right after E3 this year and we watched something from just like, I think it was like 7 or 8 years ago at E3, and just how different it was. It was like a bunch of guys in suits with a projector, you know, scrolling through a bunch of slide decks talking about bar graphs of sales and projections and blah blah blah, because it was an event where these companies would come and pitch themselves to retailers and give updates to their shareholders and stakeholders in the companies. Obviously, that has completely changed, especially over the last 5 years, and especially in this generation, where it is less about this B2B sales. It's less about updating the status of your company, of your publishing arm, of your studio, and much more about like, hey fans, check out this 45-second trailer for Gears 5. Get fucking excited about this. Did you get it? And on to the next thing. Let's talk about everything that's coming in the next 2 years. Let's get people really, really excited about the stuff that's going on. And so with that changing focus, I think the ESA has always been a little bit slow to kind of embrace what E3 has become. And if you read this article from GameDaily.biz, which again, I highly recommend people go and do, because there's just a lot of great detail in here, you'll see some of the things that the ESA is pushing back against, but you'll also see some of just like the slimy, shitty language that marketing people have to use in order to communicate what they're trying to do. So essentially, and we'll get into that here in just a minute. I feel like I'm a little scattered, a little all over the place in this conversation. Here's the highlights. Here's the big things. They want to change. So, as you guys know, E3 is not the on-stage presentations. E3 is the show floor. There are things that happen around E3 that are branded around E3, like, hey, it's Xbox's E3 presentation, it's Sony's E3 presentation, it's Nintendo's E3 Direct. Like, it's branded around E3, but what E3 actually is the show floor. Hey, here are the exhibits, here are the presenters, here are the things that you can expect to get your hands on, here are the people you can expect to see and to interview. It is all about the actual on-site event that, you know, you see the IGN and GameSpot and other YouTube channels covering from the floor. And so when we're talking about this, we're not talking about a change in the structure to the actual presentations, which many people fan side consider to be E3. We're talking about the show floor. So you'll see that here is the West Hall of the Los Angeles Convention Center and the proposed layout for this center. And I'm trying to remember what this one is, what this image is. Sorry. This is the West Lobby. Was this year's? Anyway, let's focus on this because I think this is where yeah. This is the proposed floor plan for the West Hall. This is 2018's floor plan for the West Hall. So let's start here. Actually, you'll notice like each company is kind of given a block of space. Like, okay, here's where you're going to be able to set up. You've got Nintendo of America. You've got Oculus. You've got these smaller booths that are for indies, reserved areas which are likely for like media people. You've got the GameSpot area here. So they're doing away with this, and they want to move to a floor plan like this. So these are experiences right here. So these will be stages or maybe hands-on experiences that people will be able to go to and either participate in or just be able to watch while they're standing in line for hands-on demos of games, to be able to look at new products that are coming out. E3, to be transparent, I've never been to E3. It's a dream of mine. I want to go to E3 someday, or I've wanted to go to E3 someday. But with all of these kinds of events, there is very much so it is a hurry up and wait around. Hurry up and stand in line. Like, everybody rushes to go get their hands on the latest unreleased game, go see the latest unreleased product, and it's a lot of standing around. And so what the ESA and what E3 is hoping to do is they're saying we want to be able to market to the people that are standing in line by giving them this Qtainment, as they call it, this entertainment that's taking place while they're standing in line. They can passively take it in, and they mention things like game tournaments, like interviews with influencers and creators, charity events, all of those kinds of things, like being a part of this experience. And that the people who are actually given access inside of those experiences will be people who hold like VIP passes, VIP tickets that they'll sell at I imagine a premium cost. And so they're just trying to leverage the fact that they know that like there are people who are coming to this who are like, damn, we came for an entire day of E3 and maybe got to play 3 games and hours and hours of standing around. Well, while you're standing around now, you're going to be able to take in different experiences. And so that's one of the bigger changes to it. And going hand in hand with that is the continuing of the move to being a more consumer-centric event. And it only makes sense, and it's funny because the ESA is really like pushed back on being a consumer-driven event. But we live in a world today where information does not have to be distilled by outlets. It does not have to be distilled by creators. Information can really be distilled either directly from company to consumer or from company to trusted influencer to consumer. And so like this kind of old media guard, while it still is important and relevant, is being slowly pushed out because there are so many other channels that you can communicate through. It used to be that all these companies would hold their big news to E3, wait for E3 to come around, and boom, that's where you drop it. That's where you talk. That's where you show it, because it was the easiest place to get your message in front of the people who distill your message. But now, with the rise of social media, with the rise of YouTube, with the rise of direct-to-consumer, direct state of plays, inside Xboxes, games companies are a little less handcuffed to these kinds of events where they have to kowtow to, kind of the old guard media. And we're seeing less and less news coming out of E3. We're seeing less and less reveals coming out of the E3 because companies are realizing like it does not make sense for us to step on each other's toes to talk about the news that we want to communicate to our audience, when we know that 10 minutes later another company is just going to reveal something that's going to overshadow that, and then 10 minutes later somebody's going to announce something that overshadows that as well. And so companies have backed out of that, and what we're seeing more is like, hey, in the month leading up to E3, there's more reveals, there's more announcements, there's more blog posts, there's more directs, there's more trailer releases, things like that. And so it's becoming less of an industry side focused thing where you're servicing retailers, you're servicing your B2B industries, where you're servicing and, you know, kind of massaging your relationships with the old guard media. And they're realizing, like, we need to make this more of a festival style thing. We need to make it more of a Gamescom event style thing. We need to make it more like the PlayStation experience, where gaming fans can come and get their hands on these things and be vocal supporters who go out from that event. Because we're in a world now, and this is like a common thing in marketing today, where people do not trust brands, rightfully so. Brands do shitty things. If you read through this deck, you'll hear a lot of shitty things the ESA says. You'll notice that they say, where was it? I'm going to find it. Where is it? It says, this is from the article, it says the lobbying group says it hopes to create, quote, exclusive appointment-only activations for select attendees who will create buzz and FOMO, end quote. Fear of missing out. Like, you know, we do a lot of shitty things for marketing. We try to play into the human psyche and into the, you know, that fear of missing out. And so that's something the ESA is trying to do. But the way that the people that we trust are so much different now. Like, yes, there are people who read IGN and GameSpot or go to Metacritic, look at the Metacritic score, you know, and that's where they get all of their news from. But there are so many people now who look to people on YouTube, other kinds of, you know, podcasters, people who don't necessarily belong to that old guard media to get their news, because, hey, I trust this voice that I know more than I trust some sort of like disembodied voice that's typing an article out to me on some sort of website. Now, not saying that's exactly how I am, but it's how a lot of people are. Even more powerful than if, you know, Greg Miller or Colin Moriarty or whoever the podcaster you listen to is, even more powerful than that is when your buddy comes up to you and says, yo, you got to try this shit. And so I think the industry understands, if we can get more fans in here to come in, get their hands on these games and give them like the insiders, give them the insiders experience, make them feel like, man, they're being let in on some big industry secret. And then let them go back to their hometowns, back to their group of friends to talk up the games that they played here, the experience that they had here. Number one, the publishers and the creators who are bringing their games to it have a positive runoff effect of people who are going back and hyping up their games and being those really, like, yes, it's a small circle that they may be communicating to, but it's really powerful and impactful if you can get people going back to their friends and saying, you got to try this shit. When you go to a restaurant and you ask the waiter, hey, waiter, what's really good here? And they're like, oh, you've got to try the calamari plate. And he walks away and your friend's like, fuck the calamari plate, dude. It is all about the surf and turf. You look at him, you look at that waiter when he comes back by and you say, we'll take the surf and turf. Because it's the power of word of mouth from the people you are closest with and that you trust. And it's really good for the ESA's public image and brand for E3 because, let's face it, that public image has been shit and it continues to be shit. And I'm going to hit on some of that shit here momentarily. But in their minds, it works good if you create a big event that is not just about standing in line, but it's about this Q-tainment where you're standing in line and you're watching celebrities do shit. You're watching cool things get announced. You're like, you go back home and you talk to your friends and you're like, yo, you guys got to hit up E3 with me this next year. It was so fun. It was tight. Like it doesn't feel corporate. It doesn't feel, you know, trade showy. It feels more like an event. So I think this benefits both of the key players, both between like publishers and creators and the ESA itself in creating this Q-tainment idea. couple other interesting things of note here. There was talk about wanting to pay celebrities and influencers in there. The ESA actually pushed back on that and said they would rather like go through an influencer organization and allow people to come for like charity sponsorships, which when you first see that, it's like, oh, well, good guy ESA. They'd rather like give to people than line the pockets of celebrities. But then you see this slide right here, the power of good, where they argue that the reason we want to do that is because we understand that millennials and Gen Z are the most giving back and social good generations ever. And by amplifying E3's social good brand, we can advance the industry's brand with consumers while storing positive chits for future use. And again, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody ever that companies, even when they do good things, are doing it likely for the wrong reasons. But they want to have celebrities come and operate on behalf of a charity because in the ESA and in E3's mind, like, oh, if we can get, you know, this NBA player, and that's the example they give, you know, talking about whatever it is that they support, then, you know, that's chips in the pocket for E3. Like, that's good PR for them. And I love this. The third bullet point, one tactic we can implement is partnering with influencers, celebrities, athletes, YouTube personalities who are passionate about E3's relevant social good efforts. Gender equality, STEM. Like, they don't list any specific organizations that they work with or anything like that. It's just like, you know, gender equality and STEM. Like, those are some things we think that's good. The ESA and E3 has a long climb ahead of it. I think that they are going to be able to exist for at least a few more years just based off of people's excitement around E3 as an event. But look, another thing that they talk about in this is like there's going to be an app that people can use, and that app is going to be the way that they'd be able to like claim what experiences they want to go to and pay for those. They can like, there's going to be something like a Disney Fast Pass that you'll be able to buy so that you can like jump to the front of the lines at certain booths. And you know, part of the reason that they want to leverage an application like that is because having data about what booths are people interested in, what games are people engaging with on the app, what news gets people to react and share, that's all data that they can turn back around and offer as an incentive for companies to come and set up a booth there. You can look at, you know, Yacht Club games and say, hey, Yacht Club, not only can you come and have a presence at E3, but look at all this data we'll be mining from the attendance here that will then be able to give back to you that you can then leverage for your own marketing purposes. Oh, it turns out that a lot of people who looked at supermassive games really are interested. Like, there's a lot of people who looked at supermassive but also came and checked out Yacht Club games. So you can start to build an advertisement campaign around, oh man, everybody who was interested in the Man of Medan needs to get ads for this Yacht Club game. And this is a terrible example. Those two things are pretty unrelated, but the point being, like, it's another thing that the ESA can gather data from and deliver to participants on the show floor, to people who set up booths. And I don't know, like, the ESA has a very uphill climb after the leak of all that sensitive personal information from media people and creators, leaking phone numbers, addresses, like putting people in actual danger with the information that they've released. And this pivot, I don't think, is divorced from that idea, from that fact that they understand and they recognize and they know, like, we fucked up. We got to get it back somehow. And so we're going to rebrand E3. And not rebrand E3, but like, we're going to pivot the direction of what E3 looks like in order to kind of, we're going to lean into the social good. We're going to make it like appointment entertainment. We're going to lean into people's fear of missing out. Like, and this is not uncommon language we see in the marketing world, but like, I guess seeing it laid out in front of you just makes it feel so much more slimy. But I would highly encourage anybody who, you know, is interested in this stuff to go read this write-up from GameDaily.biz. I'm actually going to drop the link in the chat here on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Twitch. But if you're watching on YouTube, link to it is in the description below. Just click on the show notes. You'll find a link to all the stories we're using tonight. And just so you guys know how that works, let me show you real quick. This is the show notes it takes you to. You can get to this exclamation point show notes in the chat over on Twitch. And each page is a different episode. Latest episodes at the top. You can just click on the links as so, and it'll take you there. So anyway, I don't know. Interesting stuff, slimy stuff, but definitely something to keep an eye on as we move into E3 2020 in a little under a year. Next item on the list. Let's talk about that Twitch TOS, baby. Another big write-up we're not going to be able to read everything out of here because it's just a very considerable write-up from Nathan Grayson at Kotaku. I recommend going and looking it up, but there's been a crackdown from Twitch on what they deem to be quote-unquote sexual content, and what they've been doing is either suspending streamers outright or giving them a warning and putting them on a probationary putting them on probation, basically. And the controversy kind of came to a head when a Twitch streamer named, and I'm sorry, I'm going to fuck the name up probably, Kuko was banned for wearing a Chun-Li costume on stream, and Twitch deemed her stuff sexually suggestive and then ended up banning her. They also let's see, there were some again, I'm fucking these names up and I feel bad for fucking these names up, but Faria, the Overwatch streamer, I guess was doing a workout stream, was wearing a sports bra and some baggy shorts at the gym, and got a warning for sexual content, and was placed on a 90-day probation. And then I'm just going to read this paragraph. Lastly, and most strangely, the weekend also saw Twitch take aim at Spongebob Battle for Bikini Bottom streamer Shift's emote of Spongebob ripping his pants, a reference to a classic episode of the long-running Nickelodeon series in which Spongebob gets a laugh by accidentally ripping his pants, and then does it repeatedly until the joke loses its luster. This, too, was sexual in Twitch's eyes, and the emote was disallowed. He goes on to talk about what may be possibly leading to these warnings and these bans and these actions being taken against the accounts. And he points to a group of individuals who are kind of mass reporting, these channels. Like, they're organizing themselves and mass reporting these channels for sexual content, to the point where Twitch, you know, has to take action against them. And I don't want to give too much air to any of that shit. You can go read about it if you want to. And I don't really even want to touch on the specifics of any of these instances, because I just, again, I don't know how much oxygen it deserves. But what I want to constantly come back to anytime we're talking about this shit with Twitch just kind of like willy-nilly, indiscriminately, without any rhyme or reason, handing out actions against certain accounts while not taking actions against others, is that as long as Twitch continues to have these controversies where their terms of service are not very clear, the actions that they take against different accounts are being based off of, you know, internal engagement metrics, how much money those channels are bringing in, it is going to be very, very difficult for Twitch to continue to grow as a legitimate platform. And I don't want to beat this horse too dead, because we've talked about it so much on PvA Radio, but it becomes harder and harder for someone like me to continue to leverage Twitch as a platform when there just seems to be no fucking professionalism with the way that they handle themselves and the way that they take action against these accounts. Blair Hunt Zombie says, I can understand some of this to a degree, but it's hard to stomach it when Tfue can drop the N-word with no repercussions. Now, look, I get it. If Twitch wants to go through and clean up the way that people dress on their platform, and they want to, that's fine. Like, Twitch is privately owned. People, we use this service for free. Like, Twitch has everything within their power to set guidelines. What I want to see is actual guidelines. Like, people joked Mixer when it came out that like they had these really specific and strict kind of dress codes for how you can dress if you want to remain in certain categories, because they do ratings like, hey, everybody, this is family friendly, this is for teens, these are mature 18 plus streams. And they have very clear guidelines, like laid out about how much skin can be shown, what kinds of clothes can be worn. And a lot of people looked at Mixer and was like, oh man, look at those fucking archaic rules, like yada, yada, yada. It's more archaic to have some sort of like blob, undefined rule set that you kind of take on a case-by-case basis. And streamers have to worry themselves, am I doing something that may be against terms of service, even if it's something that I've been doing for months already? Like, if Twitch really wants to crack down on this stuff, that's fine, but they need to release something and say like, hey, moving forward, this is the code for people who stream on Twitch. If you are seen wearing this, this, and this, and you are reported, we are going to take action against your account. But this whole just like, and the Spongebob shit just makes absolutely no fucking sense to me at all. Like, I can't make any sense of that. If to you, look, I understand Rule 34 or whatever, like, but if SpongeBob ripping his pants is the thing that does it for you to the point where Twitch feels like they have to take action against that account, what world are we in? What world are we in? But I think moving forward, and look, this is not just for dress code or whatever they deem sexually suggestive. This is for everything with Twitch. When it comes to language, like Larry refers to in the chat here, with Tfue dropping the N-word and nothing being done against his account, like, there needs to be clear, defined guidelines that not only exist, but that Twitch actually follows, because they have things in their guidelines about hate speech, those sorts of things. They need to set the guidelines, communicate the guidelines, and enforce the guidelines in the ways that they are communicated. Like, don't leave this shit up to chance. Legitimize yourself, Twitch, by taking this sort of stuff more seriously. Because the more you grow, the more this stuff is going to fall into the spotlight. And it's just terrible optics, man. Like, it is good PR on your part to be transparent about your terms of service and the actions that you're going to take. Like, that's just good business. Because as we get more mixers and other viable options that people can jump to and do their shows on, live stream too, if more shit like this comes out where it's like, man, I just don't know day to day what Twitch is thinking in terms of what they allow and don't allow, they're going to move to platforms that have those things clearly defined, even if it's more restrictive to their content. Because it's a known quantity. If this is your business, if this is your livelihood, you want to know that I'm going to be able to hit the go live button with whatever set of rules is in place and know that the earth is not just going to suddenly shift under my feet. Be left to the whim of just whoever received the report. All right. Next item on the list. This is another weird one. BioWare released a blog about what is next for Anthem and did not announce anything about what is coming. Did not map out any changes, didn't talk about any specifics, did the classic Anthem thing where they're like, look, we understand that there are issues, that there are problems, there are core problems, and basically just said, the problems are so big we can't hot fix them. It is going to take us going away for a little while, working on them, and then resurfacing at some point to the point where, we can re-release something that is of our choosing. They're now moving away from the acts structure that they had previously announced and moving instead towards seasonal content that's going to be much, much smaller updates so that they can step back and start working on these core fundamental ideas. Now, look, That is okay. That is fine. That's whatever. Like, it's probably the thing that they should have done in month 2 rather than in month, what are we in, like 7 at this point? It's the No Man's Sky idea. Like, we're going to hide away for a while. We're going to come back better. We're going to come back stronger. We're going to come back to the point where, like, it looks like a whole new game, whole new experience. We have a lot to talk about to get people who aren't playing the game excited about possibly jumping back into it. The problem with that is, like, who cares? At this point with Anthem, who fucking cares anymore? And I'm sure that there is a small corner of people who really, really care. But with No Man's Sky, there were tons of people who were like, look, if they change this, and this, like, I'm back in. Like, let them go finish their game. And yes, there were people who were angry and upset about it, but Anthem is suffering at this point from apathy. Apathy is the worst place that you can be. If a player base, a fandom is apathetic towards you, fucking lukewarm towards you, neither hot nor cold, then that's the worst spot to be. Like, it would be better if everybody was fucking up in arms about Anthem constantly, like they were at No Man's Sky. And that's when they decided, like, we're gonna go hide in our hide hole, work on everything really, really hard, and then resurface. Or if there were just a bunch of people like with Destiny who are like, look, there's things about this game that really need to be improved, but we love, like, what's here. Like, the core of what's here is really good. We just want it to be better. Then Destiny has the time and the leash to work on it. Anthem doesn't have either of those things. People aren't pissed about Anthem. People moved on. Anthem came out, it was like, oh shit, well, that's just EA. Game's pretty incomplete. Larry wants to play the game. And of course, anytime we talk about Anthem, Larry, we're gonna play the game, all right? So what is the game? It is called How Many People Are Watching Anthem? We go over to Twitch, we get to the browse, we scroll, and oftentimes we just have to control F it because we can't find Anthem. So let's go to browse. Larry's guessing 72. I'm a little more optimistic. Let's say 109. There's 109 people watching. So I'm gonna scroll and I'm gonna continue talking. But yeah, I just think Anthem is in a spot right now, like, just fucking cut your losses. Nobody cares about this game. Nobody's clamoring for it to be good, and that's okay. You tried, you failed, move on. But don't waste time publishing a blog to say almost absolutely nothing. All right, so we're in the 40s now, and we're gonna look up Anthem. Bum, 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 bum. All right, there's the Dark Pictures anthology with 733. Anthem 121. So there's just as many people who are watching Raft, who are watching Horizon Zero Dawn, who are watching FIFA 17, which is we're on FIFA 20 currently. Undertale, Crash Team Racing. So yeah, I don't know. Do you think don't you guys think it's just time to move on? Time to move on. Oh, sorry. I was over here like pointing shit on my screen, didn't have it shared. 121 people watching Anthem. Move along. All right. What am I doing here? Okay, there we go. Next item on the list, last item on the list. This is a small one, but worth mentioning here. Rockstar has released a new game launcher on PC and is giving away Grand Theft Auto San Andreas to anybody who downloads it. This is from Jeremy Winslow over at GameSpot. It says the world of PC gaming has gotten a bit more crowded. Publisher Rockstar Games announced a new PC launcher, and downloading it nets you a free copy of of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. So just like EA or Ubisoft, you go there, it has all of the Rockstar games available to download, supports cloud saves, has automatic game updates, supports your disc-based games and your digital games. So very, very just like similar to any of those other publisher-specific game launchers. And yeah, just another fucking thing to have downloaded on your computer. Hopefully everybody's bitching about this too, like they are with the Epic Game Store. Anyway, that is the final story for the PvA Nightly Rundown for tonight, guys. Stick around if you're over here watching on Twitch. We're gonna play a little bit of Overwatch here in just a moment. If you're watching over on YouTube, greatly appreciate it. Come join us live over here on twitch.tv/PvA Radio at some point. We would love to have you chatting away with us. Larry says, yeah, face it, son. Your game is dead. Talking about Anthem. 121 people watching on Twitch right now. Again, if you're hanging out on Twitch, keep hanging out. I'm going to step away for just one momento, and then we will be right back. But until next time, guys, we love you and goodbye.